Let's talk about watch news. We've got a whole bunch of new watches, loads of price increases, and a little snippet of an Omega rumor. Let's start off with the negative stuff, I guess, the price increases. And yes, these are directly linked to the new tariffs that Donald Trump has imposed on Switzerland. And I think all of the price increases only impact the US, which kind of goes against what I thought would happen. I thought prices would rise all around the world to then subsidize the price in the US. But it seems like these are just impacting the US, and I guess brands are still expecting these price rises to be temporary. So let's talk about what's actually changed. The Swatch Group have come out and announced that they're going to be an increase across the board of the Swatch Group brands. So we're talking Blancpain, Longines, Hamilton, Omega, and their price increases are going to be between 6 to 10%. Now that's obviously nowhere near the percentage point increase of 29%. However, they have made it clear to their retailers that they are just going to have to accept a lower margin on their watches, which frankly is a terrible situation for the US retailers, unfortunately, because the products are just more expensive now, which means fewer sales are going to be made. But even when those sales are made, the margin isn't there for the retailer. Watch Pro reported that the price increase on Omega Speedmaster Professional is going to rise from $8,400 to $9,000, which is a 7.1% price increase. Now that individual monetary value price increase isn't the end of the world. I mean, it's a lot of cash, but it's not crazy. The challenge is the fact that these watches are already inflated as they are, not just Omega, I'm talking across the board. I feel watches are just expensive right now, and watch sales are already down. So this is just making an already bad situation even worse. Let's talk about Patek Philippe. So they've done a price increase of around 15%. And again, Watch Pro have reported that they've told their retailers that they're just going to have to trim down their margins down to 31%. I don't know the figures for Patek, but typically a retailer would get around 40, 45, 50% margin on the watches that they sell. Bear in mind, sales tax is part of that. Because Patek are so blooming expensive as they are, the price increase is going to be quite drastic. For example, the Cubitus in gold is going to go from $80,340 to over $100,000 when you factor in sales tax. That is a really punchy price increase. And frankly, that's the time when you're going to be traveling abroad to get your watch elsewhere. For example, in the UK, the same watch, the gold Cubitus, can be bought for £65,600, which is roughly $88,000. Now for Richemont, by the time this video goes out, they've probably announced their price increases, but they're going to be announcing them towards the end of September. There's no news of what the price increase is actually going to be. However, they have announced that there will be price increases. So when we talk about Richemont, talk about IWC, JLC, Lange, and Cartier, so big, really popular brands, but don't know what the impact will be, but there will be an impact. Let's talk about a little snippet of Rumour. Now I get left comments from people suggesting rumors or suggesting this or that. However, with this comment, there's actually some logic, there's some pattern that backs it up. So this comment reads, just FYI, Omega discontinued the Planet Ocean. There's a new thinner model coming out in October. Now I've not been able to find any more information about this idea beyond the fact that this is the 20th anniversary of the Planet Ocean. We've seen loads of updates or range extensions to the Planet Ocean, but we haven't seen a new Planet Ocean. Omega is going to be increasing their prices on the 1st of October, so I guess that would tie in with negative news distracted by some positive news at the same time. Guys, if you like chit chat around watches, long form content, watch podcasts. And I've just launched a new podcast with Britt Pierce called The Movement Podcast. And it's not just an audio podcast, it can be an audio podcast. You can subscribe to it on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. But there's actually a video element to it over on Substack. And so you can get involved with the podcast over there. We launch a new episode every Sunday. So go check it out. There'll be a link in the description down below over on Substack. Let's talk about new watches. And there's a whole load. So I'm just going to do top line. I've got loads here to talk about, but there's been even more so, but this is just essentially the highlights. I guess leading on from the tariff stuff, there's been a bit of a funny launch from Swatch, an absolutely ugly launch, but yeah, a bit of fun. So Swatch have this what if line, and then they've done this what if tariffs, question mark. It's only going to be available in Switzerland, and they've swapped around the 3 and 9 on the dial, so it shows 39, and then on the back, the little battery cover that has a percentage symbol, so 39%. There's another little nod to the whole Trump tariff thing, and that's within the serial number. They couldn't put 47 within the reference number because of how their naming convention works. So to keep the serial number of this in line with that naming convention, this has 4Z. But the Z, if you cut off the little bit at the bottom, could be a 7. Moving on to a much better looking watch, there's a cluster of new Audemars Piguets. We have 2 new Royal Oaks, and then we have a new Code 1159. All of these are perpetual calendars. We've got a rose gold with this beautiful beige dial, and then we have a steel with an even more beautiful baby blue dial. All of these perpetual calendars can be controlled just by the crown, which is pretty impressive. But what's even more impressive is the size of the case. So all of these are 38mm wide, that's including the Code 1159. Love all of these colorways. I especially love that gray green, the washed out green of the Code 1159. Can't stand the strap, but that dial color along with the case color is so hot. Talk about hot colors, let's look at Oris and Bamford. Bamford Watch Department have teamed up with Oris to do a limited edition Mission Control. This is an Oris Pro Pilot altimeter. This is an epic watch from Oris, and these colors make it even more epic. It's got a multi-piece case, it's got carbon fiber, it's got PVD coated titanium. It's massive at 47mm wide. Now it's got a water resistance of 100 meters, which means it can go down 100 meters, but the altimeter around the outside of the dial can gauge up to 19,700 feet. Now this is limited to 250 pieces and costs £6,100. This is another dark watch and another pilot's watch. This is a Bremont Altitude MB Meteor in stealth grey. I got hands-on with this at Geneva Watch Days. I didn't shoot any videos at Geneva Watch Days because I got food poisoning and spent most of the time in a hotel. If I ventured out, then I quickly had to go back to the hotel. And so it was quite an unproductive day. I did do a panel discussion around is watch journalism dead, with the whole time in the back of my head thinking, I should probably get back to the hotel. Anyway, let's get back to the Bremont. This is part of Bremont's MB range, and I feel like this is a really cool execution of updating a range without going too far from the range. So essentially the whole integrated bracelets trend is still going. And this has been, I guess, Bremont's way of getting on board of that integrated bracelet trend while still keeping their hero product alive. And I think they've nailed it with this watch. I love how stealthy the whole thing is. I love how grey it is. I'd quite like to get this one in and do a video on it. This is going to cost £5,750. Another watch, actually, I'd like to get hands on with all these watches. I guess that's why I've chosen them. The Baltic Aquascarf Mark II has just been launched. There's 2 sizes. We've got a 37mm and a 39.5mm. And I haven't got hands on with this. This has literally just been launched. I feel like this could be Baltic's best watch yet. There's little things that they tweaked around this design that just, I guess it's refinement. It just feels more refined than their previous version. I think this looks absolutely brilliant. I would like them to start using higher end movements. This is still a £600 watch, a €600 watch. It's powered by a Miyota movement, so I would prefer them to actually use something like an ETA or a Sleater and just charge more. Again, I would like to get hands on with this because I'm basing this just on renders. I've not actually seen this watch. The one watch I do have coming in, actually there's 2 of them, is this, the new Hamilton Khaki Mechanical Power Reserve. These look killer. We have 2 dials. We've got a white dial and a black dial. You can get them on a strap or on a bracelet. The new dial layout is only available in the 40mm. And it's basically the same watch, it just has a power reserve indicator on it. On the strap, this is going to cost £760. On a bracelet, this is going to cost £840. I should be getting these in next week, I think, and then the video will probably be going out the week after. But yeah, these look absolutely awesome. Guys, there's been so many watches that have been launched. This is just the stuff that's stood out to me. I want to know your thoughts. I want to know your thoughts on loads of stuff. This is going to be a long video. What are your thoughts on the price increases? And what have been the standout watch releases for you? As I say, there's been so many watches launched. This is the stuff that stood out to me. There's some sexy watch, apart from that swatch, that's fucking hideous. I like the idea. I think it's fun to have a bit of fun with watches, but that is properly ugly. As I mentioned, guys, check out the podcast that I've started with Britt Pierce called The Movement Podcast over on Substack. Again, there'll be a link in the description down below. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up button. If you like the stylus video, then hit the subscribe button down there and that little bell icon to get notifications when I drop a new video. If you want to check out our watch straps and watch accessories, jump over to barkandjack.com. And if you're on Instagram, give me a follow at barkandjack. I'll see you guys very soon. Take care.